Okay.
Hello there. Welcome everyone. So this is our first sort of coffee/tea, whatever your preference is, catch up that we are doing. And I hope it's the first of many more to come. I would love to do this on a more regular basis because as we're seeing with the current situation in our world, we are a large planet, but it is actually quite small. We are a small community that live on this planet. And I'm really fortunate enough to have lived in different corners of this planet and have friends and family all over the place. And this is just such a beautiful way that we can come together and really stay connected as a community, even when we can't be physically together. So I would love to have this be something that we do on a more consistent basis. But welcome to our first one. I'm coming at you from Whistler, BC, Canada, where we have been living up in the mountains for the last almost 2 years now. And I moved here from Australia, where I've lived for 8 years and raised my daughter there. She was born there in the Gold Coast, beautiful sunny Gold Coast. But I'm actually from Ontario originally. So I have got people that may jump in at any point and join this conversation from different corners of the world. My name is Elizabeth Matthews, and I am the creator of Pie in the Sky. If I haven't met you yet, hello. And I would love for you to have a chance to meet some of my beautiful team who are coming to us from different parts of Australia too. Who wants to say hi?
Myself. Hi. Hey, I am Claire, for any of you that haven't met me, and I'm just feeding my baby. If you hear any little grunting sounds down there, that's my babe. I am coming at you from Sydney, Australia, and I'm the founder of the Soulful Mama community. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Sorry, just had to press unmute there. Forgot about that part. My name is Danielle, for any of you that I haven't met yet, and I'm coming at you from the sunny Gold Coast. It's been a little bit cool the last couple of days, but as I'm sitting here in the study, it's really hot on my shoulder here. So it's living up to its name today. And I'm the founder of Dandelion Wishes. So I've met these two beautiful ladies only through our work with doTERRA. So I think it's just absolutely wonderful that, you know, our paths wouldn't have crossed and we would have met one another if not for these magical oils that we have. So I'm very grateful.
Me too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, eh? It's pretty cool, like the amazing, incredible people that have sort of walked into our lives through this business path that we've chosen, but also just even through classes that we teach and, you know, the people that we meet just casually who you end up striking up a conversation with that you might not have otherwise.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so what do you guys think? What's going on these days? Holy geez, is there anybody else freaking out? What's happening? Like, what does everybody think about what's going on? Because it's really unique. I mean, Claire and I talked about doing this coffee chat idea before the sort of, pardon my French, but the shit hit the fan. Like before that, we were like, oh, we should do this, bring the community together. But now even more than ever with the social distancing and we're all holed up in our houses over here, at least. What's happening in Australia and how do you guys feel?
It's not as bad as at this stage because you guys are in full on lockdown.
Yeah, like I got an email this morning that Violet's not going back to school. So we're on March break for 2 weeks, but we were supposed to go back and school actually finishes in North America at the end of June. And this email just today announced that there will be no more school for the rest of this year. That's it.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I was listening to the Prime Minister this morning and he was saying they're keeping schools open here for the moment. They're following in Singapore's footsteps. And what was said all made sense. Like, I get it. You know, we've got, if kids stop going to school, then we've got about 30% less of our health staff that can jump on board, and we need all of them at the moment. But, you know, I've got not so much Ariana and Luca, but Isabella's supposed to be finishing grade 12. So they're set to go live from home for e-learning, and that's fine. But as the Prime Minister said this morning, if whatever they're putting in place, they're probably putting in place for 6 months. So as you said, for the rest of the year, that means no grade 12 finishing for her.
Well, they've said here that kids will still graduate. They're going to do distance learning online. Like, 'cause one of my nephews is supposed to graduate from university in June. And they're going to, but they're making arrangements to still allow kids to finish just online. You know what I found interesting? I don't know what you guys think about this, but I found it interesting to watch how we are bouncing back and finding alternative ways to do business and run life without all the travel, without going in and checking into a business. I'm really reflecting on this and thinking that perhaps we're going to see new ways of living as a society, because, you know, businesses that normally would say, oh, you know, too bad you're a new mom, you can't work from home. Well, all of a sudden everybody can work from home if they need to, right? And so it's going to be an interesting time for us to see as a bit of a social experiment, like how we actually can still function without checking into a typical 9-to-5 job in an office somewhere, and without kids actually having to go to a university. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a change of pace. We've all had to sort of pivot. I know we're grateful in our household because both of us work from home. So we're lucky in that respect. But loads of other of our friends who didn't have that flexibility as mums or dads going back to work have now got that flexibility. So it's interesting. It's great.
Well, my hubby doesn't. He's actually away for work at the moment, and he's down south near the border of Victoria, New South Wales. He's still in New South Wales, but near the border. And he, like some of the guys he went down there with, the jobs that they're having to do, they can't, because like certain places aren't letting anyone, even technicians, in. So he has fire systems and stuff. He tests them. And he's just got all these jobs he's got to do down there. And so, some of them are closed and won't let them in.
It's interesting because even those jobs that are considered like crucial services that have to keep on going, you know, I'm wondering how things are going to be affected. And it sounds like Canada is just a few steps ahead of Australia, maybe. But I know like Tate works for BC Transit, so he's a bus driver. And he's been told he's a crucial service, so he has to keep going. But then more recently, I think even just a couple of days ago, he was said to be a bit on standby because they're going to start calling back even those services. Just because of, you know, the whole social distancing thing is a real thing. And it's funny because I was definitely one of those people in the early days that laughed at it and thought, you know, why are people overreacting? This is ridiculous. Like, you know, if I get the flu, I'll get over it. It's okay. I was guilty of that. And now that it's become so much more serious on my front doorstep, I've done my own research and looked into it. And like, I'm somebody who really feels comfort when I know the facts about something. I like to know the numbers. I like to know like the reality. I don't want to just hear somebody's opinion about what they think. You know, I take that for sure on board as well, especially with people that I really trust and admire their opinion. But I feel like there's so much like a sea online of opinions and feelings about things that I really like to know the numbers. And so like about a week ago, I started to dive in and just look at the statistics of what happened in China, what's happening in Italy. And I then started taking it seriously. I was like, wow, okay, this is actually how this works, why it's spreading the way it is, and why it does matter, even though I'm strong and healthy and I could recover from the virus, no problem. And my family could too. It's not about me, right? It's interesting how, like, again, as a social experiment, how this is going to make us change our thinking because, like you say, Dan, like pivoting, you know, because it's like, wow, it's not just about me. It's about the community at large. And it's about the systems, like the medical systems and how they're being bombarded and how that means there's doctors in Italy that are having to choose between this person living and that person living because they've only got one ventilator between them. And it's like, wow, okay. And all of a sudden, after diving in and looking at some of the facts and figures, I started to have my big wake-up call of like, oh, right, okay, take this seriously. Like it is actually important.
Yeah, well, we were the same. We haven't sort of watched the news in a very long time. But it was only that once the kids started coming and asking questions that we didn't have the answers. So we thought we would probably sort of need to start taking this seriously, especially when all the food started going off the shelves. And
that hit you guys before us, that whole toilet paper thing. Oh my God.
Oh my
like
Lord.
I was seeing you guys post stuff like that and I'm like, what is wrong with people? That wasn't happening here, but all of a sudden this week it's happening here too.
That
Well,
was
just
my
even
local Woolworths. Like before I just moved house at Christmas. But before that, that was my local Woolworths where those women were fighting toilet paper.
Just
it
awful.
cracks me up. I'm like, why toilet paper? Like to me, of all the necessities that I couldn't live without, like you can live without toilet paper. You can do a little bathing situation or something, you know?
Get the hose.
Yeah, but like of all the things.
Like just make baby wipe, make your own home.
Yes.
Right, we got the recipe.
We've got the recipes. Are you guys doing any recipes, any home DIYs and stuff you want to share with like people that are watching this replay?
Well, did you see that On Guard is sold out?
Which is wild. You know what's so ironic, Claire? I actually have mine here. I stocked up on this like about a month ago because I was thinking, oh, teacher, like again, school's coming to a close and stuff. So I'm always thinking about teachers' gifts and things. And I actually have like a whole stash of these right now, which I was like, oh my gosh, it's like gold. It's like gold. Yeah.
You'd sell it on the black market.
Oh my God, it's crazy. But do you guys know, okay, I had this question and I don't know the answer to it. You know how we're supposed to have a certain percentage of alcohol, right? To make sure that it's antiviral.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I know I love this because it doesn't strip all the good bacteria from your hands, right? It gets rid of the bad ones. And we know the benefits of like, for those that don't know, On Guard is the mixture that has clove and rosemary and eucalyptus and what are all the things? What else am I missing?
Wild orange, cinnamon.
So a lot of these are antimicrobial and antibacterial, but you know, it's natural. So it's not going to take away all the good bacteria that you actually really want to create a beautiful, healthy system. But I'm curious about, has anybody heard, like we're supposed to put alcohol as a component in this to help against the virus, because this virus can live on surfaces up to 7 days, they say.
Yeah, it's even living on stainless steel surfaces, which is the crazy part of it. From what I listened to with Dr. O the other day with Emily Wright, he said that it's minimum of 60% of the alcohol. So isopropyl or ethyl alcohol, I think, is the one that's in On Guard. On Guard, the hand sanitizing mist has got 64% in it. So
we're good to go with this one.
Good to go with that one, if you can get your hands on it.
If you can get your hands on it. So Australia is sold out of this right now.
Yeah.
I think we're still okay in North America, but I think they've restricted how much you can buy at any given time.
Yeah, we're sold out of that. We're sold out of the oil as well.
So what are you guys suggesting people do?
So you can, there is a recipe floating around. We can post it below this if you like, for how to make your own On Guard with the, you know, how many drops to make up a full bottle. The only thing is that putting your own eucalyptus in there means it's not ingestible.
Yeah, and I heard that too. Do you understand why, Claire? Like, what's the reasoning?
Apparently, it's a different eucalyptus that doTERRA use in the proprietary blend. So it makes it okay for ingesting, but if we're just using our general eucalyptus from doTERRA, that one is not ingestible.
Okay, that's really good to know. So if people are wanting to ingest, like for me, On Guard is a staple in my house. It's one of those ones, again, if I'm ever in doubt of what to order a certain month for my LRP, I just throw an On Guard in there because I go through it. But to me, that's my first line of defense for immune support. And it's definitely one that I'm using a lot at the moment. Like I've got it on constant rotation in our diffusers in our house because it removes the airborne pathogens. So it's really good at keeping the air clean in your home, especially when we're like, you know, staying in our house. Like everybody stay home now. And so you just want to keep that fresh.
It on the whole time, and every day it's been in our diffuser, and I just put something else with it to change it up a bit.
Yeah, me too.
One day, Manuka, Purify, something different each day.
Just to try to shift it. Litzy would be good.
Litzy is definitely what we've turned to this last week, because we ran out of On Guard. Like, hard to believe, but we did. And we were one of those people with the unprecedented call for On Guard over the weekend, which is why they've now run out. So I ordered 2 for me and 2 for Mum over the weekend. So it was delivered yesterday, which is great. But I had to pivot and think sort of on my feet, because I didn't have On Guard. So I looked at the back and then just started. I just put in things like wild orange and clove and cinnamon, all those great antiviral sort of properties. But then looked at the other oils that we had in the box and started using those. So it was a great opportunity to be able to use things like thyme and marjoram and oregano, obviously, and rosemary, eucalyptus, the ones that we don't always turn to, maybe like the herbaceous ones that I cook with most of the time, but don't think of them to be able to support and protect our family. But Litzy is definitely the one that we've turned to, and it makes a great hand sanitizer as well.
So does Litzy, why are you turning to Litzy, Dan?
Due to its trying to be compliant here.
I know.
And antibacterial, antiviral properties. Litzy is the poor man's Melissa. So if you have a look at Melissa, it's one of the world's most expensive oils. Hang on one moment, baby, that won't plug in. It's one of the world's most expensive oils, and it's got some amazing qualities for protection and defense for your family, not only on a health scale, but also on an emotional scale as well. So the soft gels in America has got Litzy in it, the On Guard soft gels.
Oh, do they? I didn't know that. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Because you can't get Litzy here, right? We don't have Litzy. Yes. But luckily enough, I actually have a total stockpile of it. So I may offer some sort of little giveaway funness for the North American people, just so that they can get their hands on it.
Hands on some. Yeah.
But I know, there are alternatives to Litzy as well for here as well. That's the beauty of these oils, is a lot of them do have crossovers. So if you can't get hold of oregano, like you say, thyme and other things can be really like just as powerful, so there is good crossover. So
oregano and clove are two of the highest, they're really, really high on the antioxidant scale. So
yeah, and I love one of the things that always really triggered me when I was learning about the oils was how, if you look at that plant's function in nature, that's what it's doing for you, right? So where oregano naturally grows, like not planted, but actually just naturally pops up, it pops up as a companion plant for other plants to help protect those other plants from pests and bacteria and disease. It actually is protecting. And so when we take that on, it's doing the same function in our bodies too. I always think that's so cool to actually know that.
Cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've seen heaps of naturopaths recommending things like taking echinacea, like good quality vitamin C and zinc, but they're all saying lemon balm, and that's Melissa's lemon balm. So, and you're right, then Litzy is the poor man's Melissa, because not everyone has $200 and something to buy Melissa.
Although I got it on my points.
I did too.
That's what I do with oils like that I can't afford. I just save up my points with all because every month I'm getting all my staples, and I'm getting, and then those points climb up pretty quick. And that's how I got Melissa. So would you take Melissa internally? How would you do it, Claire, with Melissa?
Yeah, I would, because I've seen that challenge out there. Have you seen it where they say for so many days? I have to look it up again. I don't know if it's 21 days or I could be wrong.
Like taking a drop of Melissa? What is the thing? Okay.
Yeah. And apparently it just shifts so much and you just feel really amazing. I keep seeing it. They spoke about it at convention.
I'm going to make a note of it. Can you find that and link it up, Claire?
I'll find it and link it up because I can't remember.
I'm going to make a note of that too. I'm curious about that. I'd like to try that one.
Yeah, I saw it when I was live streaming convention from the US last year. And then I've seen it floating around a number of times too.
Speaking of convention, oh my gosh, you guys. Convention in Australia was canceled for those of you that don't know. So leadership was canceled here, which I had actually made the decision not to go regardless because of just inability for childcare for me. And so I just had to not go. And I was really down because I was so excited to go to Arizona. And last year's leadership, doTERRA leadership, is just phenomenal. For those of you that don't know, it's where there's a ton of support and resources for people that are building a business. And for anyone that has any entrepreneurial side to them, it's such a valuable space to go into because they bring in these incredible speakers from around the world who are just sort of cutting edge speakers who are, you know, really on the edge. Like last year we saw Rachel Hollis came and talked to us. It was incredible. And so I was really excited for that. And then I thought, oh, I can't go. And then to have it cancel so close to the end, they made the right decision. Absolutely. Like, I think that the owners of doTERRA had an insight through the CDC, kind of had conversations and knew that they needed to pull the plug. And luckily they did. And now to have Australia Convention canceled is really, really sad news. But again, I think it was like the best decision that they could have made.
Yeah, I'd only made a decision probably about 6 weeks ago to go. Same thing, that I completely forgot that it was in school holiday time. So I was looking at how, say hi to everyone. She's got a sniffly nose at the moment, so we've kept her off school just with our rulings and stuff at the moment. So you can't be sick and go to school. Had her cleared, all fine. It's just a bit of a snotty nose. But she's got into, I'm not sure where this lipstick has come from. Because I'm pretty sure I don't own a red
one from the gum container.
Great, awesome. I was.
You were gonna go, hey? You were
gonna go? I bought a last minute ticket and got flights, and a girlfriend and I were definitely both going to go down. So I'd made the decision because then I realised it was a school holidays, so I had care for the kids because Isabella was going to be home. And then to have it cancelled. However, deep down inside, I wasn't feeling comfortable in going.
Yeah.
Because I thought, from our ambulance background, I knew that it was just the start, 6 weeks ago. And it would only get worse and the restrictions would only get more as well. So, I am relieved because, for one, I wouldn't want to be in another state and have the borders shut.
Well, that's what we think about within the country. Is like Tate has been looking into going to Australia to see his parents, and we've had to pull the pin on that as well. He was just going to do his own little solo trip back just to see his folks. But again, I was like, well, if you get there and then they stop travel and you can't, and now they have in Canada, they've restricted nobody who is not Canadian. No, so only Canadian residents can actually come back. But yeah, like they're grounding flights and things. We had booked to go. We had booked a really cheap holiday. So here, in this part of Canada anyway, to get to Mexico is just a little hop, skip, and a jump. It's like going from the Gold Coast down to Sydney or something. It's like a little, and everybody does that in the winter. It's like a cheap package holiday type of family place to go. We had booked ourselves we found it. It was like, oh, I was so excited. It was the silver lining after a pretty rough winter. And we were pumped, and we planned it with Violet's her two closest friends and their families. We all booked it. We were all going to go together so the kids would all play and we could just sit by the pool with a margarita. Anyway, we were supposed to leave on April 3rd for a week, and we've just had to be like, oh, okay, that's not happening now. But what can you do? Yeah. Like, it's just crazy. Nobody's seen a time like this. Hey, this is the weird thing. I was talking to somebody in their early 20s, and she was saying like, wow, this is just, crazy. And I said to her, consider this, like, I'm in my 40s. I've never seen anything like this or heard of anything like this. My mother has never seen or heard of anything like this is not something, this is something for the history books that they will be looking at, you know.
Yeah, well, I heard the Prime Minister say this morning that it's first time virtually in over 100 years that the last time it sort of happened was when our diggers came back from war, simply because they were looking at airstrikes, so they kept everybody inside and, you know, looked at martial law that way. But yeah, it's certainly something 2020 that we were all looking forward to, the brightness of 2020, because a lot of people had had a pretty bad, you know, 2019, and it's going to be known for different reasons, I suppose, now.
Now, here's an interesting question for you guys, because I tend to be by nature a glasses half full kind of a person. But I also don't want to be one of those really annoying people that's got their head in the sand, you know, and it's just like everything's good all the time when it's not. If you guys checked out, like I did a post today about that very topic, like about, you know, try to stay positive in amongst adversity and yet being realistic too at the same time. And so it makes me wonder, like, you know, how do you do that in the face of this? How are you guys faring in the face of like difficult times? And when you say like 2020 will be known for this, I mean, one of the things that I have really connected to is the positive impact on our climate issue with us all laying low. I mean, you look at the satellite pictures of the world and you look at China, and the pollution has dropped. I don't know what the percentage is. It's some massive amount, like massive amount. You can actually see it in the imaging. So when we've been so up in arms, you know, especially in the last 6 months, so many people talking about climate change, well, nature has given us an opportunity. This is telling me I have 10 minutes before this meeting's going to be closed.
Yeah.
I can always jump back in if you guys want to continue. Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, look, I'm somebody that I'm the same. I'm an optimist, and I think for me, like, being really well informed is one thing. Buying into the scarcity, the fear mongering that happens with media is another thing. And all I do is I just keep sending love to people that I know that sounds woo woo.
It's not.
People that I'm scared, you know, and they're carrying on, and you know, it's like, it's just fear just lowers your immunity even more, even further, and it's not doing anything. Worrying and freaking out is not doing anything. And I mean, I can't be blasé about it, because I have a 5-month-old, and at 5 weeks my son brought home something from daycare and she was sick and in hospital. So
you, of all people, Claire, have tons of reason to be possibly sitting in fear with what you've already explained. Look at that happy smile. She's like, hello.
Like, you in a minute, she'll be like,
yeah. But you're choosing not to sit, you're choosing not to go there. And how are you doing that? How are you managing that?
Well, for a start, we're like you, Dan, we do not watch the news. I mean, I worked in a courthouse up until I had my baby. So I think, and people were always like, oh, such and such is in your court today. And I'd be like, oh, are they? I don't know, because I don't watch the news. I find out about important things anyway. And I am keeping myself informed of what's going on. If I'm watching the news and listening to the radio and reading the papers, that panic would set in. That it would start to set in. So
yeah.
So how do you get your news? Because I know there's certain channels that you do tune into, and like me, like I don't have TV, regular mainstream TV. I tune into people who I have chosen to tune into, you know, that I respect their take on things, and I know that they're bringing truth to it and not just sensationalism. So who do you turn to, and how do you gauge that, like to stay informed and yet to not fall trapped to that?
I tend to find most of it on social media. Like the most important things end up going up, right? And you end up seeing them. There's no way you could be completely tapped out of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
just like with the bushfires, it was constant. Just
What a
constant.
year it's been, hey,
Everyone
geez.
sharing all day, every day. So you just see it all. And even just the people I follow on social media, I'm seeing the same things from person to person to person, the same thing being posted.
Yeah.
So really, you don't miss out on anything.
No,
I think
there's
it's
a lot of
interesting, like for us running our businesses, and a lot of what we're doing is through social media. It presents a beautiful opportunity. And this is one of the first places my mind went to was, what will people need in a time like this? You know, what kind of, when you open up your news feed and you see like all of these images of things that are just like, oh my God, this is happening. And, you know, it's scarcity mindset and all this other stuff, all the panic. I thought, you know, we have a beautiful opportunity as network marketers to actually put out there a beautiful, positive, uplifting message. And so when people open their feed, they see your beautiful, shiny, smiley face saying, it's going to be okay, people, relax, you know, take a big breath.
Yeah, they need support and love, I suppose, because everything that you're seeing at the moment is just negativity. And we've had that issue with my son. He's got generalized anxiety disorder. And whilst we've kept him off social media, he does follow a lot of the basketballers in America, and they're dropping like flies from the coronavirus. So he's thinking, well, if these guys who are invincible are dropping, then maybe I can too. So we spent the weekend up at the hospital along with every other sick person. And it was really only his anxiety, I shouldn't say only, but it was his anxiety that caused his breathing issues. And the doctor had said to us up there just how many kids he's seeing. So for me to be able to have the oils in the middle of the night to put on his chest and to thinking it was a breathing issue, and then the relaxing and the calming oils, then Adaptiv has just been our savior.
I was going to ask you, what specifically are you using? Because you are so not alone in that.
No, and I think for us to be able to share that with people, it's giving them hope that because there's nothing out there that's going to really kill this virus anytime soon. Western medicine isn't able to even if they were to push it through, it's scary if they were to push it through, and the ramifications that come with that. So to be able to give people, I suppose, natural solutions, just with the antibats and their hand soaps, and for us for the emotional support, Papiva, we've just been putting 3 drops of Papiva oil because we haven't got any soft gels at the moment. Just in a veggie cup for him, and he's taking that 3 times a day. And Adaptiv, diffusing that with On Guard at night time for him.
Adaptiv Blend is such a blessing. I cannot tell you how much I'm using that. I mean, I have I've had a crazy year. I can say, like, I never hide the fact that, you know, when things are bumpy, I think it's good to just share honestly, because we all go through these crazy times. And I've had a roller coaster time of it myself. And when they came out with Adaptiv in September, I thought, oh, that'll be interesting to see. But oh my gosh, it's on my beads so that it's right against my neck. I wear these, you know, or I take this off and wrap it around my wrist so that it's right here. I'm like wearing Adaptiv pretty much daily. It smells beautiful to me, and I think I'm attracted to it because it's got that uplifting effect. But it's incredible, isn't it, that blend? It's really been good.
It's just a whole system though too, that it works on the different systems. So you've got taking it internally as well as diffusing and putting it topically. So the science behind it and the amount of research that they've done is just amazing. And I see firsthand within about sort of 10 to 15 minutes of changing him. And when he's reaching for it himself, knowing that he needs to feel better, that's just so comforting. So
how great as a parent to feel like to see that, because you're teaching your child a natural solution to their problem. And then they're learning, like they're having that firsthand experiencing and realizing that they've got some power and control over their own situation. Like how beautiful that is to give that to your children, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So I've been just sharing all of that from the rooftop with whoever I can at the moment they've got kids or themselves feeling a lot of corona anxiety, as we've termed it, over here, as opposed to the coronavirus. So yeah, I suppose just staying on top of what we know and reaching for those natural solutions. So for me, I suppose I've just seen that people are having to go to DIY and to natural solutions because they can't buy it off the shelves.
Yeah,
so all
totally.
Yeah, all the friends of mine who have seen what I've done for the last few years are now reaching out to be able to say, hey, how do you make that hand sanitizer or your soap again? Because I can't buy any. Or how can I calm my anxiety that I've got at the moment around what's happening in the world?
And what I was going to ask you, Claire, because you're always my go-to for the emotions side of things. Like, what have you been feeling? What have you been recommending to your community? What have you been using yourself? What do you think?
We've been using Adaptive, but I do know that it's only available through the US warehouse at this stage. So, I mean, I've got the roll-on, the oil to put in the diffuser, and I have the tablets as well, the soft gels as well. But just, so I've been using that on cruise as well, but the roller, but otherwise, if you can't get your hands on it, there's so many oils. My personal go-to oil is always frankincense for calming and centering. I just love it.
I put that lately, especially, like I put it on my skin, but I've been putting it on my third eye. I've just been rubbing it into that, and it's like an immediate hit.
Yeah, and it's also the oil of truth, right? It's going to give you that. It's going to, that and Copaiba are going to take that, lift that veil and make it easier to just center, calm yourself and see the truth in situations, not just blindly follow all that. I'm not saying there's just a lot of fear mongering, a lot of scarcity mentality. I mean, we saw the scarcity mentality, people just running out and being all for themselves with things.